Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to Oxygen Not Included. Remember, like on Sunday, how I was like, I'm going to make a lot of videos this week. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful Friday, because today I've got the Serial Steamer Experiment. Now, this is actually based off a comment that was over here. We got Minnie, who made many comments, and there was a full discussion that went on here as far as like stuff that we could do. And one of the comments that was here was trying to stack up more steam generators on top of each other. The other thing was also using like metal tiles in order to do the heat transfer between the magma and the steam chamber itself. Now, we hinted at this in the last video where I was looking at phosphorus, and that happened over here. So one of the phosphorus is something that you can mine up in a solid state, and then you can put it inside of something like a storage compactor, right? So this little storage compactor could be like in this area. Maybe not right there, but whatever. So it could be over here, or you could have a door or something like that, and you can put the phosphorus inside of that. But when that phosphorus comes in contact with the magma, it'll then turn to a liquid state and then to a gas. And phosphorus gas has a higher thermal conductivity. So therefore, it can transfer the thermal energy from the magma quite a bit faster. So that means we should be able to heat up the steam quite a bit faster. So that's what we're going to test out over here. The other big thing, though, was actually getting rid of insulated tiles here at the bottom, obviously, because the last experiment we did was just kind of a little closed circuit test. But this way, by using gas, what we're effectively doing is we're going to create a gas channel that we can then dig and mine our way to different magma pockets, and then let that gas transfer the thermal energy from these magma pockets wherever they might be. You know, over here, this is a ginormous magma pocket over here, so I've a good location. And essentially, that way we can explore, you know, hooking this up to different magma chambers and then harvesting the energy out of that. So I'm going to explore that process just a little bit here from a more conceptual standpoint by using the cell painter tools in, you know, debug mode. So metal tiles are something that you unlock, well, you should unlock by this point when you actually have a steam turbine all ready to go. Now, this steam turbine right here, you guys actually mentioned, there was a comment over there, that a steam turbine actually is its own floor. I don't think it was that way in the preview, but it is now, so that actually works out pretty good. You can actually see these little slicksters over here. They'll actually come and stop on top of the steam turbine, and look at how happy he is. Aren't those things just kind of adorable? The little like faces there. They seem very pleasant to me all the time. They're just like, just happy to be floating around. All right, so what I got going on, yeah, this over here. Focus, don't get distracted. So power-wise, this actually brings up kind of an interesting, well, I guess each steam turbine, I'm just going to use a conductive wire out, and then I can combine that later on through a couple of these power transformers into a larger cable if I wanted to. Otherwise, I have to use like a heavy watt wire joint plate or something like that, and that would create a point where the thermal energy inside of here would then leak outside, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, in this setup here, use some conductive wire, boom, just like that, and then another one that comes straight up like so. So then I could have one power transformer, and then another one over there. And then out of that, well, I could just run straight to a heavy watt wire, and therefore nothing should pull too much current and cause the wire to break. And then we can slap that into a couple of batteries, and boom, we're all good to go. Okie dokie, some metal tiles here. You should have unlocked this by now. So let's take a look at the different metals to see if we have one that is going to be a little bit better than another. I think gold or tungsten is going to be a good option, but just for the sake of it, let's go ahead and take a look. So looking at the thermal properties over here, specific thermal conductivity of copper is 60. I think we're going to see that as well over here with tungsten, yes. However, the specific heat capacity is a little bit different. So in this case, I think the tungsten might be a better option because it has less heat capacity. Therefore, it's a little bit easier to heat up. Or you can look at that the other direction. Probably not a big deal. Gold actually might be the best option because it's easy to make. You just take gold amalgam. Steel has a thermal conductivity of 54. Honestly, that's so much higher than the gas. I don't think it really matters. But this one does have a higher specific heat. Does it? Yeah, higher specific heat capacity than the others. Honestly, any of these will probably work just about the same. So for the sake of it, we're going to make this base out of gold. Bam. So I'm going to start this off here with a little bit of water, and we're just going to cover this bottom little bit right there. So that'll give us some liquid to work with once we actually start to heat this up. Now, in order to get down here and actually mine around and mine safely, what I would essentially need is a vacuum chamber. Now, a vacuum chamber is actually kind of easy to set up. So what I would have is 3 mechanized airlocks, and I'm going to make this out of iron ore because it has a high melting temperature. So these 2 doors here just operate like normal, and then the door in the middle is actually hooked up to like a switch. I don't really have this set up in the best spot here. Let me just go ahead and take care of this real quick. So we'll just add some abyssalite over here. Okay, there we go. All right. So in this spot here, what I would do is I could dig this up, and then I can make use of one of those little like pressure switches, or the weight plate. There it is. So you can see when something is on top of that, it's activated, and then when something's gone, there you go. And I think what I'd want to use here is a NOT gate, just like this. So I'd run to that, and then I'd run up over. Where is my automation overlay? What? Why can't I see that? It's probably because I don't have a duplicate down here. Welcome, Harold. Alright, there we go. That guy's gonna have a really bad day. Sorry, Harold. It's for science. Okay, so in this case right here, we can see that nothing is on this weight plate, so therefore it's open. So if we take Harold, and we just move him down here. Come on, Harold. Come on, Harold. You want to move right down there. Okay, looks like I need another chunk of automation because that right there just turned that to off. So enters a standby. Dun dun dun. No! So I think what I need here is a filter gate on this one as well. I was just thinking about this, like how could we actually set this up to make this work? Okay, so if we move Harold real quick, we'll see that that will then reset. So right now, Harold cannot navigate through here at all. Okay, but now he should be able to navigate. So let's just move Harold over here and say move here to the right, and he heads through. However, now it's going to be locked for a while, which happens to have him be stuck here because he's got nowhere to go. Oh, Harold, help me figure this one out. No, when you're on it, I don't want that. I was not expecting this one to be a little tricky here. Come on now. There we go. Filter. I just want him to touch this pad, right? Be able to walk through, and then it shuts down and opens up again. Well, I mean, that looks like it might work there. Sorry, Harold. I mean, you did help a little bit, even if you didn't actually walk through. Let's give the next contestant a little bit more room. Here we go. Okay. Jen. Welcome. Okay, so Jen here is on this side, and she's able to move to the left side by just running over that. So if gas was over here on the right, it would have gone and, you know, ended up inside of here. Let's just I'm just going to show you what happens. All right, you ready? This is going to be a sweet little vacuum system. Here. Oxygen is over here on the right. So Jen runs through. Right now you can see that there is nothing in the middle there. Okay. So now she's running to the left. Or maybe she run to the left. Go! See how there's a little bit of oxygen there in the middle? So when this closes down, it'll destroy the gas that's in between these two doors and create a vacuum between the two areas. And since we have abyssalite on top and abyssalite on bottom right there, then there's no way that thermal energy can make it from one side of this series of doors to the other. So there it goes. And you can see how that went from having a little bit of oxygen there, even though you can't mouse over it, to having nothing but vacuum. So that's pretty dope. It's actually a way to kind of make an airlock system, sort of, if you're okay with like destroying some gas. So thank you, Jen. Good job. And Harold. I mean, you helped too, buddy. Here, we'll make a little tasteful memorial. There you go. All right, so let's move on to the next part of the experiment here. I need to get the thermal energy from the magma into this chamber up here and start making some nice steam. So let's say, Jen here. Did I say Jean? I might have said Jean. I work with a Jean. Whatever. Jen is, let's say she dug this little pit out here. So we have some access to maybe some magma eventually down here, right? Something like that. Good job, Jen. I'm going to take a little bit of phosphorus down here, and we'll just kind of put it on the ground. We can see that we'll have 200 kilograms. So I'll dig that up, and that will melt once we expose it to some magma. So I think at this setup here, I'd want to use like a door, right? Something like that to kind of just block off this area so it doesn't kind of flood everything else, and then dig it out. I'm going to save this real quick, just in case this is a terrible idea. All right, so what we will see is this phosphorus is going to turn into gas. So I want to make sure that this is dug out up here as well. That way, when that turns to gas, it's going to fill up this area right here. So there it goes. Now I have a lot of phosphorus gas, and it's very, very hot. You can take a look at the temperature overlay here. So just like Minnie was talking about here, we have underneath have an insulated tube of natural gas or phosphorus gas that transfers heat from the magma up to the metal plates. Let's see exactly how that happens here. We can see the metal plate or the metal tile here. Its temperature is increasing quite quickly. However, it also has to heat up a lot of water. You're messing up my door system if you're parking right there. So move over there. The phosphorus is also liquefying in that spot. Come on, Jen. What are you doing? So we can see here down at the bottom, the phosphorus is 1,000 degrees Celsius. 800 above it, 500 and something. That's actually working out pretty good. And surprisingly, this liquid is not like flowing up and filling up this chamber. So that looks like it's working out pretty good. Mechanized airlock will melt at 1,000 degrees Celsius. And it's at 1,500. Oh, I made that out of the wrong stuff. However, it was still there. Iron ore. That's what I wanted to make that of. There we go. A little bit hotter. Oh, got refined gold though. Nice. So what's kind of interesting here is the phosphorus is actually cooling down to the point where it's turning to a liquid just for a moment, and then it hits the magma and it boils off again. It's interesting. I've never really used phosphorus for anything useful at this point, as far as in its gas form. So it's kind of cool to see how this works. There's also a little bit of natural gas just floating around in here. Its thermal properties are not all that fancy though. Okay, so the first thing I'm seeing here is that the amount of time it takes for this to heat up is a lot. So let's see if I can convert these tiles. I'm just gonna mop this liquid up real quick so it doesn't spill all over. Deconstruct buildings, yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this out of gold as well, right there. Then I'm gonna clear the floor and make these corners. Well, I guess those corners really don't need. They can just be exposed. Matter of fact, this can be exposed as well. I could probably go even further to say that that is still metal tile, and just keep going with all of that. Okay, so these metal tiles are increasing in temperature. We may want to meter the liquid that runs in here to begin with. Otherwise, it looks like it'll take a long time to heat up. Not by a long time, I mean several cycles, which is kind of longer than I want to spend right now. So I'm going to do 1 kilogram of water to begin with. And then once that boils off, we'll move on to the next kilogram and keep going from there. So we can see the temperature here. This is a good overlay. We've got the water. It's started off roughly close to 0. Now it's up to around 36. It's moving quickly. So I'm just going to speed the game up. Ultra speed here by pressing Alt and Z. So now we're moving quite a bit faster. We can see the temperature's increasing. Once this gets over 100 degrees Celsius, it'll turn into steam. And then at that point, we should be able to really heat this up quite a bit faster. Now there is some carbon dioxide kind of floating around in here. A very, very small amount. You can see we have a complete vacuum up top here. And what'll be interesting to see is as we move pressure-wise from one steam turbine to the next, how that's going to react, and also what temperature it'll exit at the top. Alright, so there we go. Boom! A lot of steam has been released. So I'm going to go ahead and add another kilogram worth of water down here. We can see that now, once there's steam in this environment, this water is heating up much, much faster. So I now have 2 kilograms. I'm going to go ahead and go for 3. Bam! Man, that happened very, very quickly. You can see I have roughly 90 to 100 kilograms down here at the bottom. Okay, so I need to turn this one to be activated. Yeah. So that will enable the system to run. Oops, my power transformers got too hot. Okay, let's go ahead and remake that. Now don't go melting on me, please. I know the oxygen is very, very hot. So we'll isolate you. In with your own. Alright, so we're going to isolate that off with their own little slickster. Everybody should be happy temperature-wise up there. Or we'll just paint in a gajillion. There, we'll just give it lots of oxygen. Bam! Alright. Problem solved. Okay, so here we go. This is open, and now the first steam turbine is waiting to heat up to the point where it can actually start running. So it needs to heat up at this point to 251.9 degrees Celsius before that'll run. So it's at 240-ish down here. It's fairly even. What looks like it would be really useful is if I used some thermal shift plates down here, because near the magma, or wherever the magma level is, it's much, much hotter. However, I don't think I want to necessarily put the thermal shift plate in the magma, because that has a chance to cool the magma down into rock, which would kind of mean I might have to come and dig it up a bunch of times, which I don't really want. I mean, I do expect it to turn to rock eventually, though. Let's just go ahead and do this number real quick. And that seems to have helped. So the temperature down here used to be around 1,000 degrees Celsius. Now it seems to be hovering around 700 to 800. So it's definitely pulling the heat from the bottom upwards much faster thanks to a couple of thermal shift plates. Okay, so I think I saw something happen here. I didn't see exactly what happened. But right off the bat, I'm seeing this conductive wire absorbing the temperature. Is that what I'm seeing? No, there we go. So the bottom one ran, and then the one above it ran. They're not quite hot enough yet. So the top one isn't hot enough. You can see that its temperature keeps kind of clicking over, so it's not able to heat up enough at this point. And it looks like the bottom one here is not really capable of enough pressure. So I think what I want to do in this case is I want to make sure I have a little bit more water in this area. Give it the whole system here a little bit more to work with. So it must be 3 kilograms between above and below. So this one isn't getting hot enough. So really I just need to solve the temperature problem. So thermal shift plates in this area are going to help quite a bit. So we're going to try to pull in a little bit more heat here, but I think the other big thing is I'm going to try to transfer heat upwards to that equipment and that steam there. So I tell you what, I'm going to let this system, I'm going to turn it off for a little bit, try to let it heat up a little bit more, because it seems like it might be operating on the edge. Alright, so I've let this heat up now for a little while, about a cycle or so. It's at 360-ish degrees Celsius right here. Pretty much across the board right there. The units themselves, that's at 260. That's at 339. Nope. Now that one's actually over 300. So now I'm in that 300 range. Let's see what happens when I turn this on again. See if both of these will run and kind of see what temperatures come out of the system. So the one below is running now. The one above is running. So its exit temperature that I'm seeing right here is 264. So it's dropping about 100 degrees Celsius between down here and up at top. I know we can't see it in the overlay because it's such a high temperature, but that's 250 and that's 375. And we can see this top turbine is struggling to maintain temperature. It's just really trying hard, but it isn't working. And once this top one starts to struggle, the one below it overpressurizes and it won't allow this steam turbine to run. So what happens if I just replace this with an airflow tile? That way this one should be able to continue to run and kind of exit out this way and continue to work. Maybe I could do it on both sides. It's still kind of overpressurizing a little bit. It's not quite a perfect scenario. That being said, it's still running, so it is working. Alright, so now let's go ahead and try to do a few more thermal shift plates. This might be the one time where I can make a good use out of diamond. So let's see what happens when I drop a chunk of diamond in here. So this diamond thermal shift plate has a specific heat capacity of only 0.5 and thermal conductivity of 80. Now, thermal conductivity of 80 is higher than any of these other thermal shift plates. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the thermal shift plates I already have in place. But I'm going to replace them with diamond to see if that transfers enough thermal energy down here in this arrangement up through the steam turbines. And I'm trying not to put too many thermal shift plates here right off the bat, mostly because I want to see like what's kind of the minimum we can get away with. Alright, so diamond right there, there. And then we're just going to go ahead and bring that diamond right up. It's making a little difference. I don't know. Alright, so while we're waiting for that to heat up, let's go ahead and just kind of run this scenario a little bit further. So let's say we've got some rock or something. I kind of dig this area right there. Build a little iron door of some sort. I'm sure there's some clever ways we can find to dig through here. And then let's say we dig out the other way and, you know, find some more magma. And then at this point, when we're ready, we'll just say open door. Bleh, and all of that magma starts flowing in. We could say, let's go ahead and add this to our pool. So now we've got more magma flowing into this area. Now that's actually covering up the thermal shift plates. Woo! I think I got a little bit more temperature out of that. Yeah, so this steam now is roughly 500 degrees Celsius. That ought to do it. Let's go ahead and let it run. Yeah, look at that go. No. Under pressure, so it's still kind of running into it. It's not quite being fed fast enough from this printer. From this, not printer. Steam turbine. Okay, so there was another thing down here that says try having a gap of 2 tiles in between the steam generators. So right now I only have a gap of 1. Let's try to increase that. So we'll get rid of that stuff right there. We'll build up the walls. Well, maybe we don't have to build up the walls at all. We just rip that out. Of course, make it out of gold. So this would be 2 up. So right now the bottom one is running out of pressure. So I think I need to move more steam from above to below, because right now I'm simply not moving enough steam in order to keep a higher pressure on this side of the turbine compared to that side. So let's mess around with the doors and the door sequence a little bit. Deconstruct all. How was it? Was it like this? Alright, so that's what I was doing. Buffer, 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 buffer on both sides of the door. And then it's a knot. Oh boy. And then I just keep going. What'd I do? There's definitely a filter in there. Oh boy, there I am, off in the weeds in automation again. Alright, so I was working on my 3D printer the other day, and I was actually trying to figure out how to have like a separate fan for just part cooling and have that turn on separately. However, I kind of have a board with limited inputs, and I still wanted to have 2 separate extruders. So I only had 1 fan controller. I was trying to figure out how to set it up through like the servo pins or the, the little 3-pin ones. Long story short, I didn't really come up with a great solution, directly on the board. There were some fun codes and ways to set things up based on when the actual heater ran. The fan would detect how hot this thing got, right? And then the fan would kick on to cool the part, or to actually cool the radiator, so you could have an automated fan. However, I came up with an idea of using a time-delayed relay, which is kind of like a buffer gate. So, as always, I fix everything with a buffer gate. And I'll find out tomorrow if that was a good idea or a bad idea. Okay, so, and over there we go. Yeah. See, I knew this was slick. There we go. Bam. Look at that go. Boom. And then I do something fun with the last door, because I don't want it to stay open. I want the last door to be closed. So all of these will open and then close, 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 close while the bottom one opens. So that, is it just a NOT gate? I'll let you know in a second here. Nope. Nope. Maybe it's a buffer. Fix everything with the buffer gate. Nope, nope. Because I keep crushing my steam. That one connects to here. Nope. My example didn't show the last little piece of the puzzle there. Not. Deconstruct this one. That. Not. Filter. Yes. Filter. If I keep trying things, I'll find it. That's right. This one needs to be longer than all of the buffers. Aha! That was what I was missing. Whoa, run a little slower. Okay, door closes, door closes, door closes. That door closes. Yeah, okay. So that should pump, and hopefully that pumps a little bit faster. No, I cannot bridge that. Making it difficult. Okay, so you need to go over here. Yes. You just need to connect there. Bridge right here. Bingo. And then you go over there. Close, 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 open, drop. Boom. Boom. Alright, let's see if that is enough pumping action there to move enough steam to run 2 steam turbines. Speed this up. I don't got all day. So you see how all of these doors open, and that pulls a big open area, hopefully for some vacuum. And you see how that steam turbine is still choking? Yeah. I was kind of hoping that would just pull so much more. It really is not working any better than what I did before. What if I take this and I make it 3 seconds? Yep. What I'm trying to do is keep that open a little bit longer to let more of that steam flow down. No, doesn't work. 5. No win yet. Okay, so nothing I've done has made that any better at all. I'm going to go ahead and just add another row of door pumps. It would be nice if there was a way for us to actually move like steam around as an actual like a pump of some sort. Because right now, I mean, we kind of have to move steam from one spot to another, but it's not really practical. So hopefully in the next update or something, we'll be able to move steam around in pipes or something like that. All right, so even though this is a much less efficient method of, you know, pumping steam down, let's see if just adding a little bit more here makes a difference. Ooh, it certainly made it cooler. Okay, so here's what I'm noticing down here. I didn't notice this, that whatever I did, I dropped the pressure down in here a little bit, so those are actually closing. So if I just add more water to this, it may just work. Of course, now the temperature's too low. Ah! Oh, and here's part of the problem. Let's turn to rock. Let's dig it up a little bit more, see if we can get more magma in there. The phosphorus is doing an okay job of transferring the thermal energy between here and the stuff above it. It's not very immediate though. I mean, this is quite hot, 1,000 degrees or so. Still taking a while to heat up the steam. It is moving, but it's not like, you know, that fast. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and see if this will run continuous. I'm just gonna go ahead and lower this so that it isn't a problem. Okay, so the lower one is running continuous at this point. The one above it is still running out of pressure. No, don't you! Ah! Oh, I forgot the last door. Whoops. That's kind of a key component, really. Oh no, now it's all getting complicated. Not. Or maybe we could agree that it's already complicated. It just keeps getting more complicated at this point. This feels like a very classic experiment. We've been here a few times before. No, that was the filter. It's getting late. It's a late day. All right, here we go. Yeah, now pump, your life depends on it. All right, all aboard the struggle bus. This isn't working. All right, well, it's not impossible to add more. All right, here we go. Yes. Now show me that you can work. I don't think these two like being in series like that, having one on top of the other. I don't think this one likes existing at all. All right. One more thing, I'm just gonna go back to the previous door setup, just the triple door. That seemed to work back in the day. All this work. Delete everything. Okay, so for this door, it is buffer filter buffer not, with an and right up here at the top. Yeah. Let's hook up these other doors. Let's see this magic. All right, so here we go. Don't let me down. This top one, no matter what, always struggles. What if I just get rid of this guy, huh? Is the problem just too much volume? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Just try to compress the stuff on the other side a little bit more. Alright, so here's kind of an interesting idea. What if I take some carbon dioxide? Will that settle down here and just kind of trick it into thinking that it's... Nope. What about chlorine, huh? See if I can find a gas that'll sit on top of the steam turbine and trick it. Nope, all it did is like pump way down here. All of a sudden, just, yep, floating around down there. If I completely get rid of this stuff. No, that doesn't help either. What if I get rid of these and allow the area above the steam turbine, rather than just being a straight shot, let it kind of funnel out to, you know, help it try to go to a lower pressure. So use the shape of a funnel. Maybe this will work. I'm trying things. 9 kilograms, 8, 9, 14, 12. What a pain in the butt. Okay, what if I do this? Just throwing things at it at this point. All right, well, obviously just having these door pumps here isn't quite enough to keep, you know, one or both of these running continuously. So setting it up a way so that there's actually like a bulkhead that's automated using a switch like that in order to let that flow through, at least in that arrangement, kind of like, well, like I initially did up here. That seemed to work pretty good. I mean, once you needed to have more power, you know, it would just release that high pressure steam through the turbine and, you know, you get a bunch of power out of it. But it wasn't a continuous thing. I'm seeing the same sort of results down here. I suppose you can just scale this up to ridiculous amounts and keep trying until you get something that works, but I don't know. At some point you gotta call it enough, and I feel like I'm at that point. But then again, maybe there's a different arrangement that works better. And it looks like I accidentally destroyed something down here, so now steam is like in direct contact with magma. So the test is blowing up all over the place. It's hot enough though, so that's good. Or did my gold melt? Oh, my gold might have melted. That's what's happening. Okay, so looking back at the metal floors, I didn't even think of that. Gold has a melting temperature of 1000, so tungsten might be what you want to use right there. So refine wolframite, because tungsten has a much higher melting. Steel is also a good one, and iron as well. So if that floor was made of tungsten, it would not have melted. Stuff you gotta pay attention to, though. I mean, there's plenty of things that can go wrong. Off, we can see that the steam is moving around it. Funny enough, this one here has not been turned off. It just isn't running. So let's try to turn this one on. So you still need these doors. Like those doors down here really do help this thing out. So those doors close it off and just allow that pressure to build up. So I'm not going to go to the whole point of trying to see just how much energy is in the magma again in this experiment. I just don't have time for it tonight. But in that last experiment, some of that energy was just spent on converting that water. That was actually pointed out in the comments, and that's absolutely true. So those results were not exactly 100% accurate. But then again, if you're really going to set up something like this, you're going to have access to a lot of magma, so you're really not going to care. You know, more magma is more. So at this point in the game, I think there's much easier ways to harvest some power from things like polluted water and whatnot. If these steam turbines were kicking out like 8,000 watts like they originally were, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to try to set one up in my base anyhow, just for the sake of it, but I know that there's other ways of making power, and just using power efficiently is worth a lot. Let's go ahead and turn this one on real quick here. And just see how this runs for one last hurrah, huh? Alright, so there you have it, guys. That is my serial steam turbine experiment. If you guys got some recommendations or some ideas to maybe make this work, if you guys are playing around with it a little bit, feel free to, you know, leave that down there in the comment section below. I'll probably revisit this maybe one more time. I don't know. Depends kind of what we discover and what might make it work. So we'll just have to see what the future holds. At any rate, that's all I have for you guys tonight. Hopefully you guys found this video somewhat informative or helpful. And if I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Have a wonderful day, guys. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.